Good morning. Hello. It's the one and only, right? It's the gardener. It is the mischievous but loyal servant. It is, yeah, boy, coming back at you. Hopefully, to brighten your day. Hopefully, to get your eyes open. Wake up! Hopefully that could be that shot of coffee, or perhaps that little shot of whiskey, or whatever you need, right? In my mind, okay, I'll keep it real with you. In my mind, I'm pretending you're God. In my mind, okay, I'll tell you something about reality. I'll break the fourth wall down for you. How about that? Life is a little strange. Life is a little funny. Life is a little less. Life is like concrete, okay? Different states of matter. And right now, it's like wet concrete, okay? So right now, I'm just playing with the ratios. I'm playing with the different... okay, should I put some more sand in here? Should I put some more, Yeah, should I put some more freaking grainy stuff in there so when it solidifies and it hardens, you get some grip when you touch ground? Or what? Are we making this smooth? I don't know. Anyways, life is like concrete, okay? Sometimes it's a little sticky. It's like pancake batter, okay? It's either wet or it's something more solid, perhaps dry if you cook it too much. Maybe it's perfect and it's moist and it's solid. Who freaking knows? But anyways, I was just doing a little thing, right? To be of service, right? In my mind, you are, you're God. You're God. You just woke up in the morning. You're God. You're a living God. You are an entity. You are a God in the flesh. Okay, you're a God who has a body. You're attached to a body, and this is who you are in my reality, in my simulated fantasy of a reality, in my personal, artistic, life, perceptional, ever-changing narrative. Okay. Life is this thing. It's a coloring book, okay? It's blank, and you get to choose whatever palette you want, okay? Whatever sort of storyline you want to pretend and sort of enact and behave out as reality in the world, we can do that, okay? And so I find it just a little bit fun to, have that kind of relationship with God. God wakes up in the morning. He's a normal-ass dude. He's a normal-ass chick. He's tired for whatever reason, right? His eyes closed. His eyes, he's just, he's unaware of all the power that, that he could, he's not aware of all his faculties and everything that he can do to enact and enable change on the universe. Not entirely. He's groggy. He hasn't had his morning cup of coffee yet. He hasn't sat down and, taken his morning deuce, his daily BM, bowel movement. Anyways, so that is, hey, I thought if anything, I would like to just be that reminder to the big GOD out there that what did I want to say to that guy? What did I want to say to that freaking guy? Oh yeah, I just wanted to let him know the nature of the universe. Of course, I wanted to let him know that, hey, you can live however it is you want to live. Coloring book style, right? You don't need to be limited in your belief system. You know, you wake up and you're like, oh, fuck, dude, my body hurts. God damn it. I'm trying to open up the mind. Free range mind out here. Free range human. Okay, anywho. So, I suppose I'll get further into it. Dude, you know I've got a problem. I had a problem. And you see, and now that I've opened up the sort of airways, I've popped open the chakras in the way that I have, my problem, yeah, it's pretty much dissolved. It's pretty much disappeared. It's pretty much lowered itself on all the sort of rungs of achage, right? I had a problem, and then the pain level, as soon as I opened up the whatever I did, started talking about it, started opening up about it, yeah, it became a lot less hurty. And so I'll describe that problem. To you, for you, in case you just happen to be in the same sort of realm. And you're like, oh, God, my problem. You know, oftentimes, I don't know what problem I have. Right? Oftentimes, I'll just have that sort of check engine light, and it's a very broad spectrum. Hey, got a problem here. Oh, what is it? I don't know, but there is a problem here. You know, the body can sense there's a problem before the mind can attach words to it. And so perhaps I'm gonna be the mind that attaches the words to the problem that you might have because I've had this problem. And maybe enough time has gone by that my mind could accurately atomize the proper sentence structure that depicts this kind of human problem that I imagine there are more people out there who will encounter this kind of thing. Because I don't think I'm alone in this. Anyways, here's my problem, dude. My problem is that I want so many things. You know, I want so many things. And more, I want less and less. This is for certain. Okay? I've gotten this sort of message time and time again that it's not about the quantity of things. It's about the quality of things. It's not about how thin of a surface area you can spread the things upon. It is the depth of the thing, the weight, the mass of the thing, not the surface area. You know, you want something dense. Generally, you want something dense. You know, I'll think to myself, oh, dude, what do I want? Oh, dude, do I want to... And I get caught up in it, like I'm going through tall grass. You know, things are just sticking to me and clinging to me, and it's okay. It's all part of the process, right? If I want to go through the tall grass, there's going to be things that cling to me, and I can't be too upset about that, and I can't worry about getting the clingy things off of me while I'm still in the tall grass, right? This is something that I've learned. You know, make all the mess that you're going to make and then clean up at the end. All right. Or, make big portions, big sections of mess and then do 4x4 little cleanup sections as you go. Okay. And just be okay. Be okay with the disorder and be okay with the chaos. when you're finger painting, okay? And then before you go and touch your face or go and create more problems to solve by wiping it on your clothes and, other pieces of furniture and other stuff, contain it, leave it on your hands until it's time to clean up. You know what I'm saying? Work section by section and be diligent in that kind of way. And so, I'll tell you what, the things that I want are different than they were before. You see, we live in a kind of society, we live in a kind of culture where it's buy things. It's buy things, buy things, buy things. How do I get happiness? Go and buy things. How do I get happiness? Go somewhere. How do I... it's all predicated on something outside of your immediate environment. It's outside, it's all predicated on whatever's next, whatever is next, truly. That is where your salvation is, all right? Whatever is next, it doesn't matter. If, it's about going to the grocery store, getting the stuff, and then getting it back, and then it's, where did the goodness come from that? I don't know. Maybe when you get home and then you cook the meal. You cook the meal, and then you're sitting down, you're digesting the meal, and it's like, where did that go? Why does it feel like I'm missing something and I failed to be present and show up, advocate and represent myself and for the present moment? Why? What the hell is this? What's going on? And so you go through this kind of soul flash time and time again until you develop a sort of recognition of what is happening to you spiritually, emotionally. I don't like these terms and whatnot, but alas, who cares? What happens is you'll find, you'll have a sort of like deja vu moment. You'll have a sort of, whether that's like an emotional sort of deja vu, an emotional sort of, I've been here before. I recognize what's going on. I've seen this before. I've felt this before. Whether you get the kind of deja vu that's like you're out there and something in the environment triggers it. You see something visually and it's like, oh shit, damn. Okay, I remember the last time I felt these particular shades of light, these particular patterns of light. I remember how I felt last time about that. And it's all just stuff to process. All of it's just stuff to process. My thing is, I want too much all at the same time. And I can't, I have, my initial trouble is, allowing the sort of empty space, allowing the spaciousness for each event, allowing the spaciousness for each thing that I do to truly, grow into whatever it is supposed to be that will sustain me emotionally, sustain me, just as a fully realized, just, as free as a bird, free as a bee, person that I can be. Unshackle me and relieve my suffering. There we go. To relieve my suffering. Because anything under the sun that you do has the ability to grow into something that does that for you. You can paint, you can exercise, you can clean, you can read, you can weightlift, you can walk, you can drive, you can do Tai Chi, you can do yoga, you can do freaking like Jeet Kune Do, freaking like free base and freaking MMA, Bruce Lee, just shadow boxing, fighting, business, selling things, being of service. It's all of it. Meditating, perhaps, challenging yourself. All of these things have the ability to relieve your suffering. If you can somehow punch in the right code, that brings that out of the DNA structure of it. It brings it out of the genome. You hit the right sequence of DNA codes and strands, and you rip it open, mitochondria, T cells, A cell, T strands, B strands, G strands, C, all these freaking things, DNA, RNA, it just comes, bam! All of these things can be, if they have the space, they have the leeway, they've got the leg room to grow into what they're supposed to be, what they can be. Everything under the sun has the ability to relieve your suffering. And so that's more or less what you want, The reason why we're moving from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing to thing and it's not working is because if the thing was working, then we really wouldn't necessarily feel the sort of compulsion to change activities, to move along and do something else, because we're being sustained by what it is that we are doing. Yeah, okay? Now. Now, here's where we're exploring together, right? Because you're a human being, and you can't separate yourself from that without serious pain. Like, I don't know, whether it's FOMO or, it's just, utterly, it feels unnatural. Or maybe I'm just novice at this point, and I'm somewhere, I'm in the denial portion of the grieving process. The grieving process of what it is to be a human being. I think to myself things like, well, there is a thing as a static, steady state. You can hold yourself in a state of just okayness, goodness, lack of suffering, awesomeness, and whatever, if you're doing the same things that you're doing. And for me, in this instant, it is talking, it is explaining, it is describing and depicting. Weirdly enough, I'm holding a broom, okay? I like cleaning. Every morning, every morning I clean the floor of my garage gym. All the leaves that come in from the day before, all the dust and debris, knolling, sort of putting various things in different kinds of order as I see it, moment to moment. This is something that I like to do. This is something that I do, or whatever. And this is the point in time where, I kind of want to transition out of talking and more into more just, out of my mind, which is this sort of expression, vibration of my vocal cords, into my body, which is moving, which is, cleaning of the temple. In this case, the temple is my garage gym. And then, so on and so forth. And so, I could totally end this here, but I see this as a kind of tunnel, right? This is a kind of tunnel where it's an interactive experience. And, let's just Mr. Rogers this shit, boy. Come on, let's freaking Bob Ross this shit, boy. He said, this is your canvas, all right? And in your canvas, in your world, you can make it however you want. And so, if those are some of my, the people that I'm looking to in this moment, I'll also I'll shout out Alan Watts. He said, anything that you could be interested in, you'll find others who are. And so I'm going to lean on the support of that system for a moment as I set you down, and perhaps this can be something of an ASMR kind of thing for you as you listen to the ambient noise of the wind, the morning, birds, and various creatures, and the sound of me sweeping. Little bits and bobs, leaves and dust and debris out of here. So, I'm not leaving you. I'm just shifting my focus and my attention somewhere else for a moment. Okay. So with that, all of that out of the way, I'll set you down now. Okay. My body. I was gonna say I was back, but like, whatever. Merely just a colloquial, commoner expression. Hey, I'm back. Even though I didn't go anywhere, I'm back. Back again like I never left. But I did go somewhere. I went into my mind to analysis mode. And again, that's a place I hardly ever leave. I'm always kind of looking over my life like some kind of like lemon grab. Freaking. Okay, so today is April 9th. I'm baby. Quit nicotine on March 24th. So, that's like a little bit over 2 weeks, right? Thumbs up to that one. I just wanted to stamp that in here real quick. Stamp that in. Boom. A little bit over 2 weeks, nicotine free. Been doing pretty good on that. And then, okay, back to something a little more broad spectrum over here. Here's a good one, okay? Who are you doing this for? What are you doing this for? Why are you doing this in the way that you're doing this? Why are you doing it in such this manner? You know, oftentimes we are the biggest form in which our suffering will come from is we try and reverse engineer our whole lives to sort of fit, you know, whatever it is we're trying to get from society, you know, from the other person, you know, from whoever it is that's not us. We're always trying to reverse, or oftentimes we can be in the state where we're reversing engineering our actions, our behaviors to try and get some outcome. And that, every freaking time, is just a tangled mess of catastrophic atrocities. What am I talking about? What I'm talking about is suffering can come from anywhere. I was, for a brief moment in time, a flash of a second, I was sweeping that rug right there, which I'm pretty sure you heard, and for an instant I thought to myself, oh dude, I want to do this in a way where it sounds like, you know, ASMR, like it sounds aesthetically pleasing, you know, there was a tidbit of that, and then it's like I was doing something like instrumentally to impress, to gain, you know, to get some kind of effect or impact or another, you know, to sort of elicit that response inside of somebody else, as opposed to God of the spring, dude. You know, even the God of spring doesn't know where the flowers come from. I think about who we're doing this for. You know, I think a lot of us are under the delusion of a society at large that, if we can punch the right buttons, we're going to get the prize money, dude. If we hit the right buttons, we're going to hit that goddamn lotto, okay? If we hit the sequence of buttons right and we do it long enough, eventually just, the whole entire society and community at large is going to love us, and we're going to turn into some freaking celebrity. Or we're going to be the person of status. We're going to be the person that they call to fix the problems. Or we're just going to, we're going to have the skill to effortlessly just Tai Chi things away. Whatever it is that we want to do, we just have the flick of the wrist, just swish and flick Wingardium Leviosa that, and just effortlessly be able to lift anything and just change the world in a matter of, the slightest flicker of a thought. If you're intellectual, guess what? You have the power to delegate and, gently, assuage and manipulate situations, into how you want them to be in your mind, people are kind. People treat me with kindness, and people do the best work they can possibly do, and we do it all together as a team, and, we get things done, and I don't have to be a hard ass on people. Haha, yes. Everything is good. Everything is great. Intellectual. Or, maybe you're a strong guy. Yeah, I freaking... I ran into this problem, whatever, this social kind of friction, and then all of a sudden, all I had to do was just, move over this way and just sort of turn my back to this, and all of a sudden, that kind of pressure that I felt, it just dissipated, and everything was all good, and everything worked out as it should. Everything worked out really nicely, all swell. Things of that nature. And I really want to hammer this freaking point. This is like, I want to go in with my elbow into the knot. Dude, I want to pile drive this with my elbow, with my finger, with a point, sharp point ball, just this freaking knot of a thing. Whether it's on my back or it's, on my gluteus maximus, shoulder, wherever this freaking ailment is, dude. I've got this sort of compulsion to really, really dig and massage into this thing. And what it is, it's like, what are we doing this for? Who are we doing this for? And the sort of illusion that we can fall into time and time again, that we do these things for people other than ourselves. Yeah, I know. I get it. You do things for yourself. You're selfish. That's bad. This is the kind of message that we get all the time in society. Do things for yourself. That's bad because it's selfish and... And sure, yeah, maybe. But maybe that's just what we hear all the time. Maybe that's just the main sort of storyline of things. But have you ever thought about the alternative sort of story where it's like, yeah, I mean, if the moment, if this is the only moment that we have, if all we have is now, if this is me right here in this moment, blah, 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 or whatever, anytime I'm sort of caught in my own suffering, what the hell is that for, right? Why is that? Why is that? For whatever reason, we've got this kind of, a sort of sensation, a feeling of things where we're so accustomed to things feeling bad in some kind of way that we're just not used to things being good. When things are in a state of goodness, we're just not used to that. We're not used to things being good, so it's like, there's something comforting about suffering. There's something comfort about just being sad or just feeling like, the chips are stacked against me, or feeling like I've always got some kind of weight on me or some resistance put upon me that I don't even know how to be when I'm free as a bird, free as a bee, happy as I can be, happy as I will allow myself to be. Dude, me? How do I get to happiness? I run into painful things, right? I rub myself again. I crawl through the caves with the freakin', just the grit, the sandpaper-like granite rock just rubbing against my skin, and it hurts, and it's painful. And the moment that I find any sort of just small avenue where it's no longer as cramped and as contracted as I fit myself into, the moment that there's just a little bit of leeway in space, it's like, look at this. It's nice, right? My sort of happiness, my sort of feeling of okayness and well-being is a direct result of removing the kind of resistances that I will put upon myself in the first place. Okay? Taking off the tight shoe, feels great. Who the fuck put that tight shoe on in the first place? Me. I did. Now you see, okay, here we come into like another problem, right? This is me, dude. This is me. Maybe this is a human thing, but I don't think I'd even allow myself the ability to feel kind of a sort of happiness or anything like. I don't think I can allow myself the feeling of goodness and happiness and greatness if I didn't have that sort of balanced out, suffering or just discomfort or pain or whatever. It just doesn't feel balanced. It doesn't feel natural. It doesn't feel like anything I've ever known. Except that's not completely true, okay? I have known that kind of life before. That kind of life where you're unchained entirely. Where you could just be happy for no reason. Like literally just being happy because, for any reason. Oh, dude, I can look up and I see popcorn ceiling. Dude, texture is awesome. And oh my God, I can see oh my God, have you ever noticed the iridescence of metal? Holy shit. What the hell? What the fuck is the color of a mirror? Holy hell, that's interesting. Dude, have you ever noticed the spectral, the wavelength of red? Oh my God. Physics. Color. Just happiness, ecstasy for less and less and less and less. I don't know. It's frightening for me. I could totally get there. I can get there. I just don't think I want to go there anymore. I don't think I want to live there. To the same rate at which I feel like I did when I was younger, right? When I was younger, happiness was a sort of far off and illusory thing for me. Something I was always kind of, I don't know if I was always chasing it so much as I was always kind of just like I just had, there was, I was, everywhere I walked, I was just walking in mud, just a little kid, just always walking in mud. I always had just some kind of trudging and slushing around in some kind of, metaphysical, emotional, just, I'm walking in the mud kind of thing. And then anytime I'd come across someone out there in the universe that was like, that would clean the mud away, they would have that sort of nature to them. The mud removers. There was always like a, whoa, dude, oh my God. Wow, man, this is unbelievable. And like this sort of juxtaposition between, my steady state of just being, whatever. I don't consider, stepping around in the mud to be a sadness. Maybe I'll consider it like a slumpedness, a kind of not laid back, maybe a little laid back, but maybe a little more hunched over, just laid over. Freaking just every just kind of trudging through life. It didn't matter what the hell was going on. Just always trudging until I made it to the thing that I was obsessed with in the moment of things. You come across that person, the sort of mud cleaner. Your soul. Whoever. And this is just my personal thing, right? This is my personal thing, but I imagine this is kind of like this for everybody. Everybody sort of defaults to a certain kind of way in which they extrude themselves out and behave in the universe. And there are things that have, sort of opposites, and things that have, counterparts, and things that move in accordance to one another. And so, anytime you sort of encounter your counterpart, the thing that, that like, I don't know, that balances out your composition out there in the world in another person, usually, it's like puppies and candy and chocolate and a good blood sugar, and a good A1C, and love, and, all these things. It's like the greatest experience in the whole entire universe ever up until that point, dude. It's the flooding of oxytocin. It is the ending of suffering. It is the opening and the vulnerability. It is the compassion. It is the floodgates of your heart pop open, and the world is new, and things are great. I don't know where to go. I don't know where to go from this, right? I have no freaking clue where to go from here. I guess, yeah, that's where I go with it. I mean, that sort of experience, it comes, and then it is gone. It's like, it's not there in the way that it was before. It's illusory, it's slippery, it's buttery fingers, and you're always kind of like wondering, where the hell is this thing? What happened to it? Where'd it go? How do I maintain it at this level? How do I get it to this level again? And you're always trying to figure out how to keep it at the freaking level. But it comes down, okay? It's moving. It's like a unicorn. It's like Haku. It's like the dragon. It's a snake in water. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. And you want to domesticate it. You always want to try and domesticate the thing. How can I freaking... How can I have this beautiful, expansive, just, bigger than the universe, beyond our universe, like, thing? How can I take this thing and just freaking, cut it up and hang it on my wall so I never forget and I always remember and I always look at it with the sort of cherishing and the adoration and the love that I have in this moment of things? And how can I make sure that I always have a rash on this? I always want a hit of this thing, dude. I always want a little bump of the universe in my pocket. I always want to be able to pull it out and just, oh, I love you. Just whenever I want it, all the time, at the ready, forever. Ridiculous. Dude. Alright, so I guess I'll let that go for now. If I love it, I'll let it go. If it comes back to me, it was meant to be, baby. I want to talk about this other thing. I want to talk about dimensions. I want to talk about the universe, baby. I want to talk about the third dimension being... I want to talk about how the third dimension, this sort of... The universe as we know it, the universe as we see it, how this is the apple to the apple tree, okay? The third dimension is the apple to the apple tree. The third dimension is the sort of... It is the byproduct of everything that is doing the work, making the moves happen, dude. If you see a duck on the surface of the water, you don't see the legs kicking like a mofo, okay? The third dimension is that. The third dimension is everything that you see, and that's all you get to see. There are things moving around. Dude, there's a whole Manhattan sort of traffic system that you're just in the middle of, and everything is just kind of flying around you, through you, next to you. Just various, all these sorts of just everything happening. Everything all at once, everywhere. All of it's happening in this sort of metaphysical, translucent kind of space or whatever. And this is the realm of the imagination, things that you can perceive and see in your mind, your eye, things that you can see in all this sort of nature, things that you have little inklings of, and this reminds you of that, and various strange one-off feelings that you don't exactly know where they're from, or weird nostalgic sort of tastes that happen in your nose. Weird, strange, nostalgic. You swallowed weird. You just swallowed your saliva weird, and it hit the roof of your mouth in a strange way that only happened one time when you were like 4 years old, and it makes you think of, what the, all these little weird things, little weird one-off, strange happenings. These. I like that. You see, I like things like that. like, I just find it interesting, at the very least. It's like, yeah, the universe as I know it so well, as I just kind of unconsciously take it to be as I pop up in the morning or as I'm going about my day, the world is a place that's filled with things. It is, it is matter. It is the solids. It is, I can touch this. I feel it. I lift it. It weighs this much. I can move it and I can rotate it, adjust it and all these things. And, that is, that's life. That's life as I know it. That is life as I perceive it regularly, when I talk to other people or whatnot. This is kind of how we, this is consensus reality. The sort of world where we live in, where it's only real if I can see it. If it's only real if I can touch it. It's only real if it has a taste, even if I don't want to put my tongue on it to really test the waters on that, for whatever reason. It's only real if for whatever reason. And just something fun. I'm gonna do a little TBT, a little throwback Thursday. Oh, it is Thursday too. I'm gonna do a little TBT. I'm gonna do a little TBT, a little throwback Thursday on this Thursday, April 9th, 2026. I'm gonna throw it back to the very beginning, where I came at you with this sort of, hey, guess what? Life is variables. Hey, guess what? Life you get to see through a narrative. Hey, guess what? The sort of worldview in which you're looking at life from. It's like, hey, the CD that you're listening to right now in the car that is you. This sort of CD that, the soundtrack that's sort of, playing in your life. I just want to remind you real quick, just in case you forgot, the CD that you're listening to in your car, the soundtrack to your life, that's not actually the soundtrack to your life. You're the CD reader. You're the, you can hit the eject button on that CD and you can throw in some 50 Cent if you want. Oh, you're not feeling that? Guess what? You can throw in some drone music. Minecraft album. Why not listen to the fucking Minecraft album? That shit is good. C418 Alpha album. Oh my god, that's amazing. Love that one. Or, you can listen to, all of these. And so I just want to remind you that, life is perception. And so you can change your perception of life. A little bit, right? You can change your perception of life a little bit. Okay. So I think that being said, I think that's like how long and how many different ways can I point at the at the clouds. You know, how many different ways can I point at the clouds or point at the sky and just be like, you know, before I'm okay with letting go, right? Right? Because would this not be my dilemma at all, right? Do I point at the sky so that way my child looks over at the sky, you know? Do I point at the clouds because my goal was to, you know, get my son to go look at the clouds and see the thing that I saw? Or, you know, can I let go of whatever it is in me that wish, you know, that once, beyond reasonable doubt, you know, see things from my perspective, see things from the point of view at which I've seen them. You know, can I let this go? And, you know, if my son just wants to look at me as I point at the sky, can I just be okay with that? You know? Is that the lesson that I need to learn? That I'm to let go? I'm to let go. I point at the sky. I point at the clouds. I point at the thing that oh, dude, look at the orange and the purple, the way that works with the pale blue, the unsaturated with the powder blue of the sky. Isn't it beautiful? And he's like, oh, dude, you know, he's looking at my freaking tattoos or something like that. He's looking at whatever catches his attention, and I just, you know what I'm saying? That's where I achieve ultimate enlightenment in that moment where I'm like, I let go, I let God. I'm like, yes, I realize in this moment that, you know, everyone, every single freaking one of us is all gonna, you know, all of us are gonna you know, we're gonna go the ways that we are meant to go. You know, you know, for example, I couldn't tell you why I put on the checkered slip-on Vans today with olive green pants and a black tank top. I can't tell you why I did that, other than like I liked it. It sort of called to me in a whisper. Hey, that'd look good. That'd look good if you put that on. Oh, those would look good together. Oh, did. You know? You know, everybody's going to do what everybody does. And, that's just, you know, that's just how the universe goes. That's just how I experience the universe going. The things that will attract you, and you'll move to them until something else happens, you know? You know, maybe you'll attach to those, you know, you'll have a strongly magnetized connection with that thing that you're attracted to, and then, you know, maybe it's like that for the rest of your life, right? Perhaps, maybe, you know, or maybe somewhere along the way, some sort of wedge, you know, hyperdimensional, beyond light speed, warp freaking wormhole, bullet time, you know, blast from a quasar, just freaking right there, you know, just the tiniest little space in the universe. It fit between what it is that you've been strongly magnetized to, and that wedge just freaking blows that thing that you were attracted to apart, until, you eventually, become, detached from that thing, and you're no longer attached to it in the way that you were, and, physics happen, things fly apart, and, perhaps that's the way of the world. Or maybe it's not. I mean, I'm always one to leave a little bit of leeway, leave a little empty space in there, just in case, dosume. So on that note, hey, I'm getting out of here. I will inevitably come back at you with some more ish, man, So this was the delicious breakfast, nutritious and protein filled, and now, I'm gonna go do some more work. I'm gonna go do some other work. I'm gonna go do some other stuff. I'm gonna go live off of the fuel. I'm gonna go expend the calories that I've just ingested. Yes, sir. Catch you later.